Well, hello friends. For those of you who might be newer to astrology, today I'm going to share a hot take on Venus to get you started understanding how to interpret this lovely planet in the birth chart. Well, let's start with a few basic ideas about the astrological meaning of Venus in the chart. In our psyche and our experience, Venus relates to connection, rapport, calming, and beauty making. Venus relates to our need to seek connection with others. Venus's placement in our chart can describe how we connect, how we relate, and how we cooperate or don't. Venus describes our experience of beauty and pleasure as well. It tells us something about our likes and our dislikes, our attractions and our aversions, as well as how we attract others and who or what we're attracted to. A strong Venus can indicate somebody who spends a lot of time thinking about how they look and how they come across to others. If there's a focus on beauty, that could have to do with personal appearance, especially if there's a Venus-ruled rising sign, or Venus in the first house, or Venus aspecting the ascendant ruler. Or there could be an interest in the external expression of beauty, like an artful approach to your surroundings or a focus on living an artistic life. Well, Venus also has to do with connection. And while Mercury has to do with connection when it comes to networking and sharing information, Venus seeks relational connection. Venus can also describe a drive to seek common ground. Let's say we're at a party and we meet somebody new. If that person shares a common value with us, like a similar like or dislike, well, that provides an instant gateway to connect. And then imagine for a moment how it feels when somebody you've just met says they just saw your favorite movie last weekend and they're telling you about how much they liked it. Well, that provides an easy opening to relate and to talk about what you liked and why. And you might feel that you're on the same wavelength in some way. Now compare that to somebody who you just met who describes having seen your least favorite movie and how much they loved that. Instantly, your hackles might go up and you experience aversion. Well, this is also your Venus in action. Venus is that connective function, and it's helping you recognize and sort through those that you like from those you dislike, so that you can zero in on those people that you want to make a deeper connection with and then pass on by those that you don't. It's said that Venus seeks and creates harmony, and that's not wrong, but it doesn't adequately describe this aversion process that also has to do with Venus. Well, let's stick with our movie scenario for a minute. In the first example, your connection could lead to more conversation. And then maybe if things continue to go well, maybe you plan a movie date. You both leave the party excited about having found a new friend. In our aversion scenario, where the person liked a movie you don't like, you might share that you really disliked the film they love, and that could lead to a quick end to the conversation, or it could lead to a bit of heated sparring. Maybe you share what you disliked and then they respond by defending their position. Well, let's say you do decide to end the conversation and you say something polite like, well, it's nice to meet you, but I see my friend Sally over there, so I'm going to go chat with her and I hope you have a great night. Well, Venus is helping you seek and create harmony, but that's going to come by recognizing your aversion and then leaving. And in the moment, it may not feel like harmony. Your Venus is attuned to recognizing your aversions, and then it works to steer you toward your attractions. My point here is that even though our Venus might seek harmony and find ways to create it, we can experience conflict and discomfort on the way there. Now that said, we're not always or only attracted to people who have the same values or likes or dislikes as us. We also have this phrase, opposites attract, and that does happen. Let's imagine that the tension that arises with the person who likes the movie that we don't like comes with a little spark or attraction. Maybe that sparring ignites a warm feeling inside us and we kind of enjoy that edgy back and forth. Attraction can be complex and it's not always based on commonality, but whatever that complexity, Venus gets us in the zone of describing it. Now, there's a lot more to be said about how Venus operates in our psyche, but that's a start. Well, now let's move on to rulership. Venus is the ruler of two signs, Taurus and Libra. So Venus will potentially rule two house topics in every chart. A chart with Taurus or Libra rising is going to have Venus as the chart ruler or the ruler of the ascendant. And that's one way that Venus can really stand out in a chart. Venus could also stand out by being conjunct the ascendant or conjunct the midheaven or one of the other two angles. Or it could stand out in a chart that has several planets in Taurus or Libra, because Venus would then be the dispositor of those planets, and then Venus is going to take on an extra role of importance for kind of managing those planets. In our Mars hot take, we looked at Lakeith Stanfield's chart, so let's stick with him, and now let's look at his Venus. Lakeith has a Libra ascendant, so Venus is his chart ruler. So Venus takes on an extra role in his chart and it's elevated in importance. Venus is also making a sextile to his midheaven, so it's going to come into play when it comes to his mission or career. And it's also conjunct Mercury in Virgo, which means he can develop skills at communication that help create connection with others, and he can potentially become an eloquent communicator. In both whole sign and Placidus, Venus also rules his 8th house. His Venus is in Virgo, which sometimes gets a bad rap, but it does still have its gifts. And being conjunct the planet that disposits it, while that planet is in a sign it rules, well, that's definitely an asset. And again, we're talking about Mercury in Virgo there. In the whole sign house system, his Venus is in the 12th house, and in Placidus, it's in the 11th house. Mercury is strong being in a sign that it rules, and Venus has importance as the chart ruler, so both planets have something special about them. And because of the conjunction, they're influencing each other. Since Lakeith has Taurus on the cusp of the 8th house, and Libra on the cusp of the 1st house, and Venus is in a different house, that means that Venus could relate all 3 houses in some way. We can hear a hint of his Libra rising in this line from a Washington Post interview. Stanfield was born creative. As a child, he scribbled poems and drawings and symbols all over his bedroom walls, much like how his tattooed arms look today. Now, a planet's training ground is the experiences and environments where we encounter growth opportunities related to that planet. Venus's training grounds are instances where we connect with others or relate to others, or in artistic spaces, or in situations where we express love. I like to keep a little bit of boundary myself between the interpretation of the 7th house and Venus, so I don't like to just draw an equal sign there between relationships and Venus. But since Venus describes our attractions and how we love, there is some obvious crossover. In relationships, as we express and receive love, our Venus can describe the way we love, how we want to experience love, and how we show our love. If we aren't taught to love ourselves in early childhood development, regardless of our Venus placement, we get another chance to develop self-love as we enter into adult relationships. In order to have healthy relationships, we need to establish a baseline of self-love. We need to feel lovable and know in our heart that we deserve love simply because we exist. And until we learn this lesson, Venus might seek love and validation from the outside in. We might look for partners to prove their love, or to love us according to our terms. We look for partners who can give us this or that thing or experience, and we probably have a list of qualifications that a partner needs to have, and these are often based on externals. Well, that's only part of the story, but it takes some of us a little bit of experience and time to figure that out. When people express the full range of their humanity, which is never perfect, spoiler alert, and never perfectly attuned to whatever we think our standards are, we get disappointed and maybe we end that relationship. Or we might stay in it, but we're unhappy. We might think, I'll finally have a good relationship when I find a person who gives me just what I want. Venusian love is often conditional in that way, especially in our early stages of learning. If we're paying to our pain and discomfort though, eventually we learn that a healthy relationship is more possible when we focus on what we're bringing to the relationship, and after we've built a strong inner foundation of self-love. In the training ground of relationship, we develop the Venusian skills and tools that we need to facilitate healthy relating. Well, that includes negotiation, compromise, balance, and love. We learn how to give and receive affection, and how to love unconditionally, or at least conditionally with respect for our partner as an equal. But let's take a look at a word cloud of some Venus keywords, and you can use these keywords to build interpretive statements. If you haven't already, you'll want to start collecting keywords and creating your own lists of keywords and concepts associated with each planet. If you haven't done that already, a good exercise could be to take this slide and type out each keyword into a Word document, and that'll help you start committing some of these to memory. Now, I'm not going to read all of them, but some good ones are partnership, building bridges, soft, sweet, round, gentle, alluring, charming, vanity, symmetry, reflection, compromise, affection, union, and negotiation. Well, that takes us to the end of our Venus hot take, but really it's just the beginning. Learn about Venus in our Inner Planets course, or take a deep dive with the Inner Planets book by Liz Green and Howard Susportis. Well, thanks for watching, and until next time, take good care.